So right as we're getting settled into the class of 2024, news breaks in the class of 2025 that we just cannot ignore, as the Alabama Crimson Tide have gotten a major addition in four-star offensive lineman Mason Short out the state of Georgia. And in one of the greatest ironies in recent memory, Mason Short stands 6'7", 280 pounds, something we have got to break down today. But before we can, as always, y'all know the drill, I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Are you excited that Mason Short joins the Crimson Tide's 2025 class? Let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below. Those interactions seem small, but they truly are massive to content creators such as myself. And we're on a push to 20,000 subscribers. I'd love to have you a part of this unbelievable community. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And before we can answer the question, who is Mason Short, there's something I want to address, because anytime we talk about these commitments that happen well in the future, I get comments saying, okay, but is this something we should be excited about because it's so far out? And that's a completely logical question. And I believe we can look at this and understand there are two ideologies that can exist at the same time. Acknowledging that Mason Short committing to Alabama is fantastic. First and foremost, he's in the class. Secondly, that's an indication that Alabama is able to cultivate positive relationships with Mason Short and that they're in a really good place. As long as they can continue building upon those relationships, you have to like the Crimson Tide's chances. But secondly, we can also acknowledge that there is a lot of time in front of us before pen hits paper for the class of 2025. So the Crimson Tide will have to actively continue recruiting Mason Short, something I believe they have absolutely no problem doing. But Mason Short is one of the best prospects in all of high school football in the class of 2025. If we look at the 24/7 Sports composite, he comes in as the number 70 player in the nation, a top 10 offensive tackle, and a top 10 player in the state of Georgia, a state always loaded with talent. And we've talked about this before. There are certain states on a year-in, year-out basis you can expect there to be a lot of talented football players. Florida, Louisiana, Texas, Georgia, California, Alabama, usually loaded with prospects, and this is no different. But one thing that caught my eye is that if we look at the 24/7 Sports rankings in and of themselves and not the composite, and by the way, the composite factors in other organizations such as Rivals, such as ESPN, such as On3, it weighs them all and gives you a comprehensive look. But the 24/7 Sports rankings themselves, that's just the ranking 24/7 Sports assigns that player. Well, if we look at that, he comes in as the number 38 player in the nation, the number 2 offensive tackle, and the number 6 player in the state of Georgia. So a question I have for all of you, could Mason Short end up a 5-star prospect? And personally, I think the answer to that is yes. Look, in either case, whether we take his rating as 70th or 38, if you're a top 75 player in high school football, you are an absolute dude. But the fact that he comes in at number 38, and if we remember, typically they're around 32 5-stars, he's right on the cusp of 5-star status. So could he? I believe the answer is an overwhelming yes. Will he is an entirely different question that leads into an entirely different conversation that unfortunately we cannot have. We have to wait and see. But one thing I love about this is the acknowledgement that you have got to be protected in order to be successful, something I talk about all the time. And because of that, I want to talk to you about today's sponsor, Aura. Did you know that in 2022, the United States had its second worst year ever in terms of data compromises? And not only was it the second worst year in terms of data compromises, but there was a substantial amount of capital loss coming in at $10.2 billion in 2022 alone, which is exactly why I'm so excited to talk with you all about today's sponsor, Aura. Anybody can find anything online, including your name, address, phone number, or even your relatives' information. And all of this is possible because data brokers selling your information to scammers, telemarketers, robocallers, or anybody that wants to learn more about you. But this is exactly where Aura comes in. Aura will help you identify these data brokers and submit opt-out requests on your behalf, and they will even opt you out of junk mail and telemarketing lists. If you use the link shown on screen and found in the description, Aura will hook it up with 2 free weeks so that you can see just how many people are after your data. Plus, Aura monitors your emails and passwords to see if they were involved in a data break and exposed on the dark web, and will give you recommendations on what to do. Aura has a VPN, a password manager, real-time credit and identity theft monitoring, internet parental controls and protects your devices from malware. It truly is the one-stop shop for user protections. Plus, they offer different bundles so that you can either take care of yourself or the whole family at an awesome rate. So let Aura keep you safe. Go to the link in my description to claim your 2 free week trial and start protecting yourself online. Once again, go to aura.com/ATTS to start protecting yourself online with a 2-week free trial, link in the description. Thank you so much to Aura, and back to the video. So what does this mean for the Crimson Tide? Well, like I said, there's a long ways to go, but so far so good for Alabama in the class of 2025, as this is their second commitment, going alongside with the 5-star wide receiver, one of the most gifted prospects in the nation, Williams. And if I'm not mistaken here, recently Williams has logged several sub-10 500-meter dashes, speed you just can't teach. Alabama fans everywhere can't wait until he gets on campus. But this is a great move for Alabama. It's always great to continue building in the trenches because football is won and lost in the trenches, both offensively and defensively. One of the reasons why I was so adamant that Alabama had to go get James Smith in the class of 2023. I thought that was about as close to a must-land prospect for Alabama as we've seen in recent memory. That's why I think so many Alabama fans were so excited once they landed him. And he wasn't the only gifted defensive line prospect they got in that class. Certainly not. Not even the only gifted trench prospect they got in that class, as Caden Proctor and those other boys on the offensive line have got something to say about being talented prospects as well. They are all very gifted. But continuing that trend, acknowledging that this is how we have to be successful and continuing it, I think is a great thing. Secondly, the thing I like about this is you can see Wolford wants a massive offensive line. Start looking at the guys Wolford is recruiting, and you can even go back to Kentucky. You can go back to Kentucky and look at the guys he was getting there. They're massive individuals. If I'm not mistaken, Keontae Goodwin, a battle Alabama was locked in, and he ended up choosing Coach Wolford in Kentucky when Wolford was the offensive line coach of the Wildcats. So you can start to see the picture. Wolford likes a massive offensive line, and I'm here for it. I also think that this is great whenever we think about this in relation to the new offensive coordinator, Tommy Rees. And I understand Mason Short's not going to be on campus for a long time, but it's this acknowledgement that we want to get big, we want to get nasty in the trenches, and we're going to predicate our offense off of this balanced rush attack. I'm here for it. I can't wait. But this is a fantastic addition for Alabama. There's a long ways to go. They're going to have to continue recruiting the very talented offensive tackle, but this is an indication that they're building and cultivating positive relationships. And one thing, if you've been around recruiting, you know relationships are king. And if you can cultivate positive relationships, well, you have a much better chance of being successful on the recruiting trail, something Alabama has known plenty of. I can't wait to hear from all of you. Hop down to the comments and let me know what you're thinking about this addition. That's it. See ya.